My first experience with land as a child was when I was running and I fell down on the dirt, and I I got upset and I rolled my fist up and I hit the earth and I said, darn you. And then my grandma said, you don't ever do that. You don't ever abuse the earth. That's an actual living being, and there's spirits there, and you don't hurt something that's holy.
Once I got here, I was like, wow, like this is so beautiful. It was lush and green, it rained, and I just felt alive here with the landscape. It was amazing because I feel like it physically manifested, and I felt like I had belonged here and this was the right decision to be here.
There's doesn't seem to be land that is not owned by someone, or that is being cultivated, or that is being used or abused. So this land has always been indigenous territory, but again, we're taught to believe that this is private land or federal land when it has always been used by indigenous people. And many times we're taught to feel like we're outsiders on our own territory.
Erasure of American Indians for a large part in the national park system as it has occurred is also because they were established by Theodore Roosevelt at the time, when his goal, as he stated, was to pulverize tribal makeup. So putting national parks in that context of the pulverizing of native communities, I think that's where, if we think about it in that context, it becomes clear what those particular goals are.
Native people in general have always seen their identity through their reservation and through the identity of what a reservation is. And we're all kind of just being made to believe that that's all we have, when that's not the case.
What has happened is the change of land into property. So we have the treaty era of the 1860s, right? That were largely coercive, putting people onto reservations, which is a colonial geographic space, yes. But even those spaces have been renamed and reclaimed. And they've been renamed and reclaimed as places of home, as places of being, as places that become important. Reservation spaces, by American dominant ideas of cultural ideas, are supposed to be places of poverty, places of destruction, or damaged spaces. They're always seen as damaged spaces, rather than anybody seeing the beauty and the creativity and the survival. From the very start, we've been remapping and reclaiming our places as people have pushed us around and pushed us out of places. So what happens in the remapping and reclaiming, every space is an indigenous space first. Like every city is an indigenous city. Every rural area is an indigenous rural area. So the remapping and reclaiming come about because it's remembering and recognizing that.
We're relearning our language, we're relearning our spiritual ways. And I think that's what this land allows us to do. It allows us to rediscover our indigenous identity and be who we are as indigenous people.
Preserve this place for our younger generation so they can tell a story, something that was told to us, and they can carry that on.
We're not just returning to something nostalgic and old, right? Or not old, but nostalgic and meaningfully old, right? Or historic. We're not trying to return to a pristine past, but rather to use the very important aspects of that past, or traditions and past, etc., to create new maps now. I see the remapping as a reclaiming of traditional knowledges, but also a reclaiming of accountability to each other and the non-human. Those forms of maps of recognizing that also just helps people be more accountable, I think, to each other and to the place where they live.
Anytime that you can preserve something as beautiful as Bears Ears, that has such a deep connection to different tribes, that's worth fighting for. Because we will never find something like this in the future. It's not going to exist anymore.